On behalf of the class of 2020, it is now my privilege to introduce our guest graduation speaker, Mr. Willy Theos. Mr. Theos graduated from Meeker High School in 1990. He attended the University of Wyoming for his college and then moved back to Meeker in 1996. He began as a substitute teacher and then taught the 5th grade for 12 years, the 4th grade for 1 year, and the 6th grade ever since. Mr. Theos coached Meeker High School's wrestling team for a time. He was the 2003 and 2004 2A Coach of the Year and the 2005 National Wrestling Coaches Association Colorado Coach of the Year in all classifications. He coached 3 state title teams and 1 state runner-up team. Mr. Theos enjoys fishing, shooting, golfing, watching college wrestling, and traveling with his wife, Donnie Theos. Funny story about Mr. Theos. He grew up on his family's sheep ranch that's been in Meeker for 5 generations. One summer, he lost 150 ewes, so he decided to look into something else. It is now, without further ado, I introduce our speaker, Mr. Willy Theos. Thank you.
Okay, I need everyone to open their math journals to page 316. It's going to be our blue for today. We need to look at problem number 3. Obviously, I'm just joking. Who would have thought, though, for the last 2.5 months of your high school careers that this would be the type of learning you'd be doing and that would be the norm? Lately, I've been trying to find the positives, though. I know many of you seniors remember that if you didn't have your blues done or caught up in 6th grade, that meant you got to come in at lunchtime and work on them and hang out with me. Well, nobody had to do that during online learning. The 6th graders were spared from my singing and dancing, and I was spared of their eye rolls. I didn't have to tell anyone to shut up your face. Just to limit those side conversations, I was able to mute them. No one had to listen to yet another, if you've got time, that's right, you've got opportunity, so get back to work. I do feel terrible for you seniors who were unable to finish your last year of high school like you intended to. Whether that was competing for a title in track or baseball, or performing in your last concert, or attending special banquets, presentations, or prom, or even just enjoying your fellow classmates for the last 2 months of school. And for that, I am sorry. It was exactly 30 years ago that I was sitting on the football field for my own high school graduation. And my apologies to, I'm sure, a very brilliant and enlightened person that did our graduating address, but I don't remember who it was. And 30 years from now, hopefully, some of the hardships from the end of your senior year will have faded, perhaps even the amazing commencement address. So with that, good evening. Back in March, when I was first made aware that I might possibly be speaking to you, I was nervous, apprehensive, maybe even a little scared. But it's an amazing honor to be asked, and so I was grateful to accept the invitation. I thought, wow, I'm gonna be sweating bullets to stand in front of the entire senior class, their parents, family, and friends, all the high school staff. And then the coronavirus began to happen and all the mandates. The hardships, the inconveniences, and the adjustments to almost every aspect of our lives have been almost unbearable. However, now I have another silver lining in the fact that I get to hide behind a camera to give my graduation speech. I started to wonder, what profound illuminations do I have to offer? What groundbreaking and earth-shattering revelation can I impart on your young adult brains? And that's what I've been trying to come up with for the last 2 months. And I'm still not quite sure. So before I wow you with my brilliance, let's take a short trip down memory lane. I did a little research and found some great mementos, such as the YMCA Dragonfly list of Matilda Brown, Julia Dinwiddie, Cody Erickson, Colby Franklin, Jose Garcia, Madison Kindler, Nick Massey, Lorena Martinez, Carly Nielsen, Jake Shelton, and Ridge Williams. As a group, like every other group, we did a lot of walking that week, and that's where we learned that the most dangerous animal at the camp was the moose. I told Ridge I didn't have to be the first one out of the woods, I just didn't want to be the last, and that if I saw a moose, I was going to trip him so that the rest of us could get out unharmed. This, of course, led to an entire year of random moose calls during class. There were even a few as the years progressed where Ridge would stop by just to grace us with his presence and a random moose call. Speaking of the YMCA, Charles Curry, Jose Garcia, Keston Hobbs, Derek Nielsen, and Todd Patterson still hold the record for the worst smelling room ever. If anyone breaks that record, they'll have to condemn the building. I found a list of students who never missed a homework assignment in math that year. Those students were Annalise, McKenna, Elijah Deming, Jenny, and Madison Kindler. I think we even went out for lunch. I also found a list of students that had to call home for having 3 pink slips. I won't list those students. At the end of the year, I asked 6th graders of the 2013-2014, yeah, that's this year's seniors, Phil, to write a letter to next year's 6th graders. I recently reread them, and the common theme was, be ready to work hard and learn lots. And as long as Mr. Theos wasn't grouchy, he would make it fun. To keep him from being grouchy, bribe him with massive amounts of Mountain Dew and Red Bull. But if it was chimichangas for lunch, it was a guaranteed good day. Another strong piece of advice was to make sure you were paying attention. One student, who was notorious for drifting off to another world, was an uncombed, brown-haired student nicknamed Radagast the Brown, who was redirected back to the present with a whiteboard eraser. And we all know, for heaven's sakes, don't be the straggler. Some of my award winners for 6th grade were Brandon Lozano for future engineer, Madison Kindler for future historian, Kristen Brown for future mathematician, Annalise Amack for hard worker in math, Colby Franklin for hard worker in social studies. I'm not surprised, a couple of them are current valedictorians. This year I was lucky enough to coach the high school boys golf team. We had Phil Arnold, Elijah Deming, Jose Garcia, Nick Massey, and Tanner Ridgway, who got a tooth somewhere along the way. They were our seniors and they did a good job, and it was good getting to know them again. As students graduate from 6th grade, they look forward to new and amazing people and opportunities, and it's not uncommon to lose touch with former students. Aside from seeing someone at the store or at a sporting event or taking classes at the middle school while they build the high school, I haven't remained in contact with everyone. There are those, however, like Callie Moreland, Serena Geddard, and Lindsay Haddon, who came to the middle school almost every year to bring me a cake on my birthday. Matilda Brown, who's come to my classroom rain or shine-ish, and been my aide for the last 2 years. Jaden Archuleta came to my classroom every time she was at the middle school. And she was at the middle school a lot. I still have the dollar bill origami character with my face glued on it that Jenny Kincher made me in my desk. And regardless of where I see him, I have yet to see Colby Shelton not have a smile on his face and say hello. I also like that Brindley and Ridge ditched school to come play cribbage during middle school academies. I think it's cool that Jake Shelton also still has the respect to call me Mr. Theos while he's schooling me on online video games. But every time I hear the Good Morning song, I think of Annalise when Toby Mac says, "Good morning, little Miss Sunshine." What I'm trying to say is that this class has made and continues to make a huge impact on me. These are just examples of a few of the relationships that we have created over the years that started in 6th grade. You were the first class I taught after my son Angelo had his accident. I didn't even want to be at school. But you needed me, and although I didn't know it, I needed you. You've honored me to speak at one of the most important days in your young lives. I feel like it's my duty to say something with a hint of wisdom, or at least that represents 48 years of experience. So what life-changing knowledge do I have? Well, while trying to this speech, I kept coming back to the question, why did they ask me? And besides the fact that Kevin Hart is too expensive and President Trump is busy, I think it's about those relationships. May not blow your mind, but one of the most important things in life is to work hard at and appreciate healthy relationships. If a friend or relationship is important, You have to be real, and you have to work at it. When I was interviewed to be a teacher, one of the questions was, what was my philosophy when it comes to teaching? My reply then and now is to try to develop rapport with students. I feel like students and friendships require the same things. They both need honesty, mutual respect, good communication, the ability to forgive mistakes, and a whole lot of effort. Your relationships are probably the most important things in your lives. Identifying those positive and healthy relationships and putting the work in is not wasted effort. You might wonder, what makes me think I have the right to say these things? Well, I've messed up just about every kind of relationship that's possible, whether it was friends, family, romantic, professional, new, old, or just about anything in between. There are many ways to learn lessons, but it seems like I have a knack for learning things the hard way. So I hope you're smarter than me and can learn from my mistakes and successes. I've had some amazing relationships that have lasted many years that I know are the most important things in my life. Of course, everyone experiences relationships that are toxic and destructive. The quicker that you can identify those for what they are and move on, the better. Sometimes it's a lot easier said than done, but it's still very important. Not only does it help you avoid difficulties, wasted time, and worry, but it also helps you identify when relationships are worth every effort. When you begin to look back on the particular parts of your life, the people that were with you will be just as, or even more important than the actual events. When you come across those extra special relationships, try not to take them for granted. Cherish them, because you never know how long some of them are going to last. So I'll leave you with this. I looked through the list of graduating seniors and I noticed that there were some of the class of 2013-2014 sixth graders that are not here today. And there are also some new students that I was never lucky enough to have in my classroom. I'm proud of every one of you. I love the hard work that you've put in, the sacrifices you've made, the accomplishments that you've achieved, and the struggles you've overcome. I can't wait to see you go forward and make your marks on this world. But my greatest wish for you is that you avoid the negative and recognize, hold dear, and cherish the positive relationships you encounter. And remember, if you have time, you have opportunity to make those relationships even better. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think I got it.